Hello, everybody. This is Jimmy. Anyway, today we shall be talking just a little bit of the LRA. The LRA is Lord Resistance Army. It was a movement they resisting against the Ugandan government, and this was started back in 1986. But ever since that war started, the country suffered significantly. Many the children of Uganda, in specific the northern part of Uganda, those are the people who suffered the most. But I would like to first start just by saying the LRA abduction of children, they've abducted more than 500,000 children. Out of all that, 50% came back home, and 50% they either died in the bush or they're still in the bush. Now, let's talk of those who came back. The children who came back home, they are no longer, or they are not the same as before they were abducted. What do I mean when well, they're not the same? Of course, physically, most of them got injured, got tortured. They have a lot of injury in their body, got broken bones. They have, their appearance is different. But what I really mean in this is psychologically, mentally, they are not the same. So they will be discovering or talking mostly on how this abduction of the children and how that life affected them and what impact do they have now in the community as grown up men and women in a society. In Uganda or in Africa as a whole, there's one thing which they do not talk about and is never recognized as something exists, but it's there. People just tend to ignore it. That is PTSD. So, post traumatic stress disorder is something which in Africa or in Uganda in specific is not something being discussed either by the parents, by the society, by the government. Nobody want to acknowledge this thing, which the children came back home and they have PTSD. Nobody want to help these children. The only thing which I would say they do is just back point at the world they pass so and so their life is so violent, is disrespectful, is not like is not bad. Everybody's scared of them. Instead of finding help for these young men and women, you find that people are just run away from them instead. So most people they think that, oh, how do Jimmy know about this? This is part of my story. This is part of me. I went through those life. I went through those abduction. I came back home and I had the same experience. In most cases, how do the PTSD manifest in these people, in these children who came back home? So I'll give you a few examples. There's so many things they do to express that they need help, but they can't ask for help because that's not something which nobody want to think that is there. So one thing they do, majority of these children, they are alcoholic. They're young men and women. They're in their early 20, late 20s. Mostly, if they're in early 30s, maybe. But you find all, if not all, most of them are alcoholic. They drink to suppress what is going on inside their lives. So if we look alcohol, some people drink alcohol for different reasons, but why do I think only this group of people are alcoholic? Majority of them tend to just be drunk most of the time. In this way, it makes them feel less um, of the society because they feel like they're not there because they're drunk. That's what makes them feel at least more comfortable. That's not the only reason. There's domestic violence. This is the main thing too, which is going in northern Uganda. The war has ended. Kony groups are no longer in Uganda. They're in different country. I'm sorry for those country where the man is still terrorizing because the children in that country they are now going through this exact same thing we went through. So domestic violence in Uganda is the main thing which the people of Uganda need help through this. Now, how do people suffer from domestic violence? From these people who came back home and now they are being violent in a society. It's not that they like it, it's not that they want to do it, it's the only life they have left, they have been through. They were taught this life while they were like 9, 10, 11, 13, and now they came back in a society. So the lifestyle is now different, but they only know how to show what they want by being violent, taking anything they want, beating up people because they feel like they want to. These children need some kind of help to be brought back to society. Yeah, they're living together with all these people in society, but are they getting what exactly needed? I remember when I came back, they take you in they call rehabilitation center. But now I look back into that life in a rehabilitation center is not technically rehabilitating these young men and women. It's just a place they bring them in to rest their leg. It's just a place they bring them in just that they figure out where they came from, exactly what village were they abducted from. That was a place they should have named as a resting place, not a rehabilitation center, because there was nothing like rehabilitating exactly these children got. When we looked into domestic violence, now those who are suffering the most are women and children. Now, these young kids back then, now they have children of their own, but they still carry that baggage with them. They still carry that life with them. Now they are passing it through to their own children because that is a life they were living while they were young and they lived through that life. They didn't get help after the war, they didn't get any kind of therapy, kind of treatment to manage the psychological effect they went through. But now the children of these kids, they're the one. Because I said the children of these kids because most of them had children while they were young and they're still young. Now they are mothers, but they're passing through that life to their children. So this thing keep prolonging, this thing keep going, even though the gun fighting is no longer exist, but people are still suffering from what happened back then. So the people around the society, how they are being affected. Most of these society members, they were in this together. They went to the camp. Everybody was getting a camp. They said for safety, the government tried to bring people together, but people were impacted in the camp. That was a dramatic life by itself. If you're not in the bush fighting, you compacted in a camp where we have thousands and millions of people just in one place. So now, what kind of life are they now affected from? They're no longer in the camp, but what effect is still going on? These people who were just in the camp, they were not abducted by the rebels. There are so many things. The society was infested with diseases like HIV was rampantly spread in the camp. There's several diseases just came in while people were in the camp. Ebola, cholera, all those kind of diseases. But still, those people went back. They still have that psychological damage from this living because they were like in a small borough. Everybody was crowded there. But still, these people also are scared of the people who were abducted. They were not just little kids, but they came back. Everybody was scared of them. Nobody is safe around them. So what should they do? Of course, they're scared. They might be attacked. And as I talk, there's a lot of incidences where they find people are dead alongside the road. Right now, as I talk, in this 2020, 2021 now, I have to say, sorry, but people are still being killed mysteriously alongside the road, who are being attacked in their home. So now people are like, what is going on? Who is doing this? Somebody is still killing people. We thought we were safe. Coin is no longer here. Yeah, coin is no longer there. But the people came back home. They didn't get help. The only life they knew was to attack, was to destroy, was to just do what they've been doing. Why is the society ignoring these people? It's like the entire generation are being left behind. And as I talk, Uganda is northern part of Uganda, they're like left 30 years behind. We're in 2021. For them, I would say they're in 1991. Still, they're living that life. They're dragging themselves behind the entire world. But nobody is catering to pull this people up, to educate them, to civilize them. All this thing is just like people doesn't exist. But when something happens in society, they blame them because Yeah, they did it, but they need help. They just don't know how to ask for it. Why don't the people who are here outside can they help these people? Those who knows about this effect, and they can see it. Why don't they just find a way? Talk maybe to the government, find an NGO that's just a thing. Come and help these people out. So I remember reuniting back with my family. It was a very exciting moment because living in captivity for almost 2 years, you don't even know that you will be coming back home. And then finally, you back home in a open place where everybody is just there. People sleep inside the house. People cook without being scared that they don't want smoke to go up. People are loud. They talk loud. So I came back to that life. It's like I was from a different world, just brought back to this world, and I don't know what to do exactly. I was young kids, they tend to brush things off and just, jump back into new things. And that's what exactly I did. But I didn't know that for once, I was already affected by this, by what happened. Now, how would I express, or how can I tell that I was already affected? My life is not the same. What I used to do was before abduction, now I do after abduction is entirely different. The way people want to play, my fellow kids want to play with me is different. It's like they just chip in. They don't really want to go fully in. They just, come a little bit and they pull out. So I was wondering what is wrong? Why I was being violent against them, even playing. But I had a strong grandma where she knows about the difference in my life. And she never told me that, but she tried her level best to recommend me to come back to this to normal life. I was surprised she just told me recently because I asked her because now I can see from a distance I can see the difference, I can see the effect. And I asked her, I said, why was there any difference between before I was abducted and after I came back home? Is there different in my life? She just told me open because now I'm grown up. I can understand. I said, yeah, it was so much different. It was like what? Like you were just not the same. But I didn't want to tell you that. I just tried to help you to come back because I knew how you were before. But again, I can't just say that into your face when you're little. I just try to help you as much as possible. I don't appreciate that not to, because if I was to be reminded when I was little, or because there was no specific help. So now I started this, I can now do it on my own. I can now find help on my own. But what about those people back in Uganda? I'm no longer in Uganda, but still, what those people in Uganda are now going through, they didn't get any kind of help. Nobody's telling them that there's something wrong with them, but how can they fix them? Because nobody want to really assess the problem. So I used to dream, get out of bed, stand up on the bed, and start walking. Because this I this just sleepwalking. No, before that I wasn't. Before I was taken to that horrible life, I was sleeping peacefully. But one day back in school, we're sleeping three decks bed. So I was in the third level. In the middle of the night, I woke up, not awake. I just stood up on the bed And I started walking from there, going out. Of course, up there, you have to come down, then walk on the floor. But I started walking from there, and I started falling down. I woke up in the middle of the gravity falling down, and I fell down the floor. Now, other students were in the same room with me in the dormitory. They were like, "What's going on?" I was like, I just told them, I just sleep. I was trying to calm down. No, I was falling in my sleep. And I remember the dream I was going through. I was to walk away, just get up and walk away because I was in different life at that time. I was sleeping. If I'm going through that, what about those who have been in the bush for 5, 10, 15, 20 years? What are they going through? They came back. What are they going through right now? It's a very stressful life this kid went through. They live a very stressful and despicable life. I can tell this now because I can see it from afar because I was one of these children. I have child of my own. I do not want to show this. I do not want my children to go through that violence. I do not want to beat my child to learn. I do not want to make my child feel like they can't talk to me. Is is a very stressful thing to see other kids are suffering because something didn't get dealt with in the first place. With the society, with the community, what I would think or what I would say they should do is just come together, find something which can help these Ugandans, something which can help these young boys and girls to mentally, just mentally, that's the first thing. If you fix their mind, they can do the rest. That's the only thing they can do. Some of them need physical help because they came back with broken leg, one leg, or the some come with the bullet which is stuck in the head. Some they have all this kind of thing. They need physical help as well. But if you fix their mind, then the rest can follow. So it's just something I thought of sharing with the world today. I used not to want even to talk about this because back I was little, I feel like some of the things they made me do is my fault because I participated in those things. And if I weren't to participate or weren't to be there, I would have not come back because you refuse to do something, they do it to you instead. You are forced to do something which initially, even if you're young as well, you know that is wrong, but you do it in fear because they engrave fear into you, in which I will talk in a different episode about um, some incidences these young girls and boys went through. That will be next week. I'll bring you guys some of the incidences these young boys and girls um, did. And perhaps I will try to find some my fellow abductees, those who can afford to join us online, just that we discuss this with somebody who was there as well with this group and doing all those things, just that they tell their experience to you, and I'll also be sharing my experience to you as well. Because the first thing we can do is to talk about it. Because if you talk about it, then thing will be, at least you feel less pressure when you talk about something horrible happening. You feel like at least you said it out. Then somebody might find a way of dealing with it. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. And this episode will be uploaded on YouTube and Facebook. Follow us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, share the story. We want to talk about what happened to young Ugandans during the 26-28 civil war and how it affected people in Uganda and still affecting people in Uganda. Thank you so much and thank you for listening. This is Jimmy with Nze Live Show, and I'll be catching up with you guys shortly by next week. And if you have any question, any comments, you can send us direct email at nizefoundation2010 at gmail.com, or you can WhatsApp us direct at +18019702410, or you can go on Facebook and also send us your comment. Also, if you would like to join the show, just that we talk, you can ask a question because some people have questions. Send us any your info, then we keep in touch with you. We bring in the show so that you ask the question you have and be able to answer you. Some people need to know something, or anytime this will be a live show to everybody who would like to join and listen, or they are going through the same thing. When they hear us talk about it, they might find a way of dealing with what they're going through. So our line is always open. Go on Facebook, send us a message, give your comments. We are all here to work together through this to make sure our friends get help whenever they need. Thank you so much and have a good day. Bye.